Today we have Sung Cho, who is the co-founder of Hyprnote and is a student at the University of Pennsylvania studying finance at Wharton and an accelerated master's in electrical engineering, graduating with the class of 2027. I think we first just wanted to jump right in and ask about how your time at Penn has shaped you as a founder.
Cool. Yeah. So I came to Penn 2023, and a bit of a background. I was living in Korea, born and raised there. Went to high school, and then I was in the Korean Army for 1.5 years before coming to Penn. And then I've done a couple of like internships in Korea, and my first internship was actually like in my high school senior year, and right after I graduated high school, which was in this fintech startup. So ever since then, I would say I've been interested in startup. One, because I met so many great people there in my job, which was like product management basically, but also I was like heavily involved in this new business that the company was planning to do. And it was like a super hands-on experience with me and just my boss and like the team of two, just figuring out everything about that new business. So like, as a like 18, 19-year-old, I had like so much exposure on that like startup scene, like how to grow your business, how to like start from basically scratch. So I would say that really heavily shaped my interest and passion of doing startup. And then yeah, like since then, it was like 4 or 5 years ago. Then I came to Penn. Like being here, I was kind of more lean toward finance, but then and eventually I ended up doing banking internship, investment banking. But I got my offer early January this year, and well, since I secured my internship for next summer, like I was like, okay, this but now is the time to actually take some risk and do some stuff that I would have not done if I didn't get a job. So yeah, might as well try something. So I started building playing around with some ideas like this March, April, and then yeah, like formed this team, building Hypernote, what was building Hypernote, and then we got into IC around May, and then yeah, that's how it all happened since then.
That's cool. And I kind of wanted to ask, how did you meet your co-founders from Hypernote and what made you move towards the idea of founding something together? So me and Sia, we kind of met through calc class initially during fall semester, and then
Mhm.
we took an entrepreneurship class together in spring semester. So I wanted to know, did you also have a similar journey and how did you meet them essentially?
Yeah, so we were a team of four co-founders, and one is my high school friend who I've been known for like 8 years. And he studies CS at Duke, so we've just been always kind of talking about these stuff like, oh, maybe one day, and then earlier this year we were traveling and stuff in spring break in March, and we just met some fellow entrepreneurs or our friends who's in VC who's doing their own startups. So and then we got like so much inspired that at the last day of the trip, we were at this like cigar bar, and then we were kind of like both kind of tipsy, and then I remember we were saying like, oh, okay, now is the timing. Like we should now do this. That's how it all happened. And then the other two, we just met through mutual friends, and then we've been known each other for a while, but then they were actually initially working on this for a couple of months, and then we kind of joined later. So that's how like all it happened. So yeah, like the team of four formed a couple of months ago.
That's amazing. Can you walk us a little bit through the moment that the idea for Hypernote specifically clicked? We understand that it's very AI, it's an AI-based note taker, and especially when a time where AI agents are popping up left and right, and the whole age of AI is really evolving so rapidly. Where did the
Hmm.
idea come from, and how did you know that this was going to be the next big thing?
Yeah, I would say first of all, like we didn't. really look for, I mean, we did look for like the next big thing, but like it's all about finding that a few of strong early signs, right? You don't like, you cannot start right out of scratch and then have suddenly like have 100 millions of users, right? Like, so we're just thinking what's kind of the most painful or the most like significant problem that we think. And obviously like we first initially like look for something very like domain specific, but then soon we realized that we are all like 20 something. So it's like it's doable. Like some people do that, but like for us, we were like we kind of soon realized that okay, we might want to go something probably broader and could be applicable to many people, not like these certain people, because then we don't really have expertise in any of the domains. So that if we go like targets a certain domain, that we might not have a huge edge compared to like those who have that, right? So I'll say so. We would just start looking to our friends, like for me, upperclassmen at Penn, or even like alums who I know working in full time. And then, there's like a lot of finance consulting people at Penn and Wharton. So when I was talking to them, like note taking is definitely huge for them because like those professional services run a lot of meetings. They have a huge client base, and then capturing those client informations, what have talked and what have discussed is like very important, and keeping track of them. But then those jobs are all like analysts role, i.e., like my friends, right? They're like, oh, I'm like going to this 10 meetings a day, and then I basically write them all manually. And I was like there's all the note takers out there. Like I initially thought that note taking is like super saturated and would everyone should be like using it, but then turned out that there's more people still not using note-taking apps, other than the tech people and stuff, right? So it's like a bubble to hear in this bubble, people all like talk, everyone talks about the note-taking and everyone uses it, but then outside of it, which is the majority of the world, um, haven't had those that much exposure, right? So that's like the initial kind of discrepancy that or our team found that why are these people not using note taking? Like today, are they against it or are they just like structurally not able to do? And then figured out that yeah, it's like mostly security compliance issue plus some nuanced psychological like barrier against recording and transcribing your meetings, right? So we just thought that okay, then what if we just make the most secure note-taking app? So that's how the whole idea behind the on-device started. And then now at the moment we are more targeting like enterprises, and not strictly doing on-device, but also do on-premise. Like we got this flexibility, we're open source, you can rig up your own custom API, so all those kind of stuff, which is we believe differentiated from all the other note-taking and stuff previously. So that's sort of how it all evolved along the time.
With that, I also wanted to ask, what's been the biggest technical challenge like building an on-device local AI product?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, the quality of on device initially, like a brief layout of the product. It's simple. It just we run these meetings. The note taking I was just add it back to your screen, listens to it, and pops out a full transcript. And then after the meeting's over, based on the full transcript, the LLM generates the full summary, right? So it's basically a speech-to-text model plus LLM model. And of course, we did use both STT and LLM on device. And the huge technical challenge was obviously like it was so bad. Like we used Lab default lab for um, LLM made by Meta, and then Whisper, which is made by OpenAI for SCT. And we still use Whisper, uh, although we're gonna like change it in a few days. But Llama was like so bad. Whisper is all right, but Llama was so bad that like we like even us didn't really use that mode, like local mode, and we had to use like this custom API, which is connecting with the cloud models, which is way better, of course, because like naturally the size is way smaller. There's like way less parameters, so it's just like yeah, it doesn't work. So, but then the good thing was that even though the quality was bad, there were still people who used that mode, right? And I thought that was pretty incredible, and like it's a very good sign because like if if the quality is bad, but then still your core value proposition, which is the on-device aspect, the full on-device aspect, if that's like, I think that was a signal that the on-device aspect is appealing enough to some sort of people, which is big enough to start off, right? So yeah, that was the initial challenge, and then well, at this moment, it's like maybe more like maybe more like technically, I would say. Maybe yeah, preparing like enterprise deployment because now we're like our main target is those enterprises who want to self-host this app in on their server, and then it's like the matter of figuring out okay then what should we do to go and like deploy on their server? Plus like what are some requirements? What are their needs? Like oh they might want like Slack integration. They might want like this. I don't know, like they even want some people wanna have like the MCP server and then like do some crazy stuff with it. So yeah, it's not just like keep building those requirements and needs of the customers.
Really interesting. Another note that we realized about Hypernote is that
Hmm.
you've basically open sourced all of your code, and
Yeah.
that is a very unique, I think, aspect of your company. I think many startups keep their tech closed just to protect their competitive edge, but since you all are Hypernote, how do you think, sorry, you all are open source, how do you
Hmm.
think about balancing that openness with building something that's somewhat defensible for your business?
Right, yeah. I was also not really, you know, I, I didn't know much about open source before doing this, and then it was just like our like CTO was very into it, so he just initially kind of saying, "Oh, open source, it's good, it's always good," and then it actually turned out it's good, right? Because like I think one thing people don't really know much is that open source doesn't mean that your product is like open at all. It just means that you can inspect the code base and look at it, but then by no means that means like any company can just go and do it. Because like if you think about it, it's protected by this license, which blocks businesses to use this for profit. And then if they change any code base, at least like under the license that we're at, it requires the businesses to kind of let us know about any changes that they make, right? So they cannot really just steal our code base. And for individuals, like yes, you can use it by yourself and don't pay that a small pro fee that we charge, but then well that's a heck of a work because like you got to download the file and then you got to compile it and you also have to take care of all the like supports and like you don't have the right to like report the bug to us and like hope that it's get fixed. You know, like you got to figure it out all. So like I might as well pay like $8 per month, which is how much we charge, right? So I think, yeah, being open source really have a huge edge in terms of like transparency, because when we like talk to people or enterprises, they say, okay, yeah, this is open source, so it's like, it, like very believable, right? Like you don't like versus if you're closed source, like or closed system, like you don't really know what's happening at the back, so you don't really want to like rely on them recording and keeping all your sensitive data or sensitive conversations. So I think that's a huge big difference. And then last thing is the community aspect. So open source, yeah, one of the biggest edges is also the community because people, everyone can contribute and make some PRs, and then we can basically look into it and then figure out which one we would like to merge to our main code base. So we got like Discord channel of more than like I think it's around 600 people at the moment, and they just like talk a lot about the product, like give us a very constructive feedback. And some people even do those like PRs, like write some codes, and that's been very helpful for running our business, not in terms of like financial aspect, but like the knowledge aspect, right? Like
Yeah.
we learn so much about this open source from this open source community versus if we were to be like a closed source, then yeah, this won't would have not happened. So yeah, I think those factors are very huge.
Now kind of switching gears a little bit more about your founder journey.
Mhm.
We wanted to learn more about your YC experience and what your biggest takeaway was from that YC experience.
Yeah, I'll say a couple things. First is, oh, there's like so many smart, hardworking. Smart, hardworking is like the baseline. Smart, hardworking, and like so much founder of like person or founder qualified person. I mean, obviously they were founders, right? So I just felt like that's good when I went to like YC's with batch wide event. It's just like the density of talent here is like so high. Um, co- like compared to any other groups that I've belonged to, right? So that's one thing, obviously. And the second thing is, yes, like you do learn a lot, but it's not like, well, I would say like two parts, right? Like there are tangible learnings and non-tangible learnings. So tangible learnings are like those real advices that you get, like either from your partner or like there's a whole like bunch of user manual in YC's internal portal where there's just like it's like a source of wisdom, right? Like there's everything about starting your startup, like how to grow your company, how to like I don't know, do fundraising, like legal aspect, or how to like yeah, basically do sales, or what if like you run into some technical challenges, all those stuff. So that those are the tangible learnings that I get. But non-tangible learnings, I think what I felt at least is that, and this is like I think bigger than the tangible learning in terms of running the company because like psychologically it just pushes you to focus on the fundamental. Because what I mean by that is like if you think like if I think about all the advices that like your partner gave me, it's not really that much like special. I'm not saying it's not helpful. It's been super helpful, but like those are all kind of could be trickled down into just a single saying that just focus on the fundamentals, right? And the fundamental of startup, I think, is just growing your company, um, always pursuing like a huge growth, right? So that means, of course, having a better product. So that's why you have to shift faster and all that also acquiring customers, more customers in a quicker way, right? So other than those stuff, like almost everything else is pretty much a noise. And for example, if we were like debating whether we should I don't know like make this video for our launch, right? And our partner was saying like, okay, yeah, like does that help you acquire more customer or does that help you like yeah, in this case, does that help you acquire more customer? And then we are like, okay, I think so. Then yeah, like partner said go for it. So I think it's just like well, I see this as like a very absolute criteria, maybe a few. And then anytime we try to like deviate from it, because like there's so much happening when you're running your own company, right? So
Mhm.
when we kind of tend to deviate from those absolute criteria, it's just like, okay, it like pushes us back to that criteria. So I think that's been super helpful, in my opinion.
Got it. Thank you. And I guess like one other thing that we wanted to include in this was like we have a lot of investors listening into this podcast as well. So if
Hmm.
we give you a chance to maybe pitch to them really quickly, what is Hypernote's key differentiation that makes it worth betting on?
Fair, yeah. I think we should have done this like at the front then to kind of give a intro, but Hyprnote, yeah, is basically a privacy-first AI note-taking app for enterprises. So if you're an investor, I guess you probably know about Granola. It's think about it as a open source Granola running fully on device slash on premise. So all the other note-taking apps have been very it's all mostly like third party, cloud based, and not, doesn't have much of a security compliance like guardrails, I would say. So we Hypernote is showing like the world's most secure AI note taking app so that it, as it's open source, you can self-host it. As an enterprise, you can self-host it on your own server. Also, there's a huge flexibility of using your own internal LLM like Amazon Bedrock, and or yeah, you can like inspect our code base since it's open source. So yeah, I would say part like we are building something very different from all the other AI note takings out, and that's a huge differentiating factor that would be appealing to at least like some portion of those enterprises and individuals who care about security compliance aspect. So yeah, well, additionally, as a part of the pitch, we are already used by teams at Apple, Meta, Databricks, Confluent, and more. Like, and we, as I said earlier, have like more than 600 people of the Discord community. So it's only growing, and it's I think a matter just a time matter of time that more and more people would recognize that AI, like the current AI, might not have enough safe guardrails. So yeah, like AI note taking being safe, it's a huge importance in my opinion. So yeah, that's been our pitch.
And conversely, many founders face hundreds of rejections before getting that one yes. And was this the case with you? And what are some of the reasons that potential investors or mentors have given you when they've turned you down? Like, what are some reasons or problems that you've faced from these potential investors before
Yeah,
the
I
rejection?
think these type of tools, like what I heard about, well, there's a demo day at the end of the YC batch,
Mhm,
right? Like
mhm,
what I heard from people in the earlier batch is that there's two types of company at demo day, where one, it's more like thesis driven, that you get more investor inbound before the demo day, because like it's like it's make or break, or like hit or miss
mhm,
for those investors, right? Because they just like invest, they just either like this team a lot or like just totally not like off from it. Versus there's some companies that, for example, like a vertical AI agent, right? Then it like everyone knows that it would make sense eventually, but then it's all about like how much traction you have and how kind of the execution that you do. So those type of companies get more investor inbounds after the demo day, after they check the traction and all the progresses that they've made. Right? So I think we're more like the first type of company because this kind of well, first of all, AI note taking is very saturated already, or at least like some investors might think. And I thought about it that way as well beforehand. So if you really buy into this thesis of being privacy secure, like this is important, people, enterprises especially would regard this like very importantly, then like you just go all in for us. And if not, like even if I do the world-class pitch and like we have the world-class product, like yeah, they would say, another note taking it and then bye. So yeah, I think that has been case for me. And I think honestly this is better for me because like you can just immediately know that if this person, really buys into our kind of vision or not. And although we don't have like enough traction, like we know that this person or this firm would like believe in us. So yeah, like I think the question was like what I got the rejection. Yes, like we did get some rejection before doing our C batch, and yeah, I think it was just that misalignment of those visions and whether they like believe in it, not much about like us like doing something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for being honest with us. I think one of the reasons why we started this podcast was because we often hear about founder success stories, but
Hmm.
the rejections are not often spotlighted, and
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
it's still part of the journey.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh
Really
yeah,
helpful.
and not even about the investor rejection. Like I've done so many like stupid things before like starting this, like the item Hyprnote item. So like yeah, I mean I can talk about it if you want to.
But yeah, I mean, we'd love to like delve deep into that. That's like really interesting.
Yeah, because like when people see like oh like Hyprnote in YC and like they must have been like so successful from day one, but like that's actually not like and no one actually started from day one with like this idea. Like when you look at my YC batches, right? Like they all have gone through some pivots, some like a long time of working something and then eventually killing it. So that is very painful. And even yeah, I remember my first idea was like this logistics custom broker space, and it was just like so hard to like talk with those people because like like I was very naive at the moment. Like I was like, okay, logistics has much of paperwork, so maybe I can like innovate that with AI, and like didn't realize that everyone ha has the same thoughts, and then I don't even like have any domain expertise in that field, so like I gotta learn a lot from like people in that industry, and like yes, I can like learn, like I want to learn, but like the thing was it was so hard to like bring those people to the table, and then they
Mhm.
were kind of fed up with this idea of like whole like tech trying to disrupt their space. Like there have been so many like trials of those tech so-called like tech bros working in the space. So yeah, I eventually like killed that idea. And then I did something about like college students and realized that college students are like so broke that they don't really pay for best for the service.
Yeah.
That was also off. And then yeah, so that's some bit like very much of a lot of stupid stuff. But yeah, I think it's very necessary because like that
Mhm.
gives you like a real intellectual honesty and like humbleness that like business is tough. So
It's all part of the founder journey.
of course, yeah.
Yeah, and since you've gone through all of these iterations, I think this innovation with AI is something that a lot of founders and a lot of potential founders are thinking about this year. What's
hmm
one thing you wish more people understood about building with AI today that maybe isn't obvious from the outside?
Mm, I think probably people, if you're interested in like this tech world, probably people hear this a lot, but like nowadays, I think it's really not about the technical aspect that's a moat or like challenge. It's more about like how to really acquire the customers, right? And that's really hard. So like now everyone can make this app like within like 10 minutes or so with Cursor and like yeah, like of course like it depends on the nature of the business, but like I think at least B2B SaaS, which we are working on, it's more about like how do you really yeah acquire those customers and like go to market aspect. So I don't know, like if I think about me like 6 months ago, yes, I was also thinking, okay, I can if I build something super flashy, like people would start loving it, and then yeah, it would be just like naturally spread it out. But I don't think that's the case for most of the verticals or industries, right? It's very much of a arduous process of having one customer and having the next, like, and now you have two customers and then three, and then yeah, it's very you definitely need some endurance. So I would say that, and because like I feel like everyone, the most of aspiring founders are technically sufficient to like go big. It's just that personality of enduring something, being super humble, like kind of accepting those rejections. Yeah, those and still not giving up. I think those what do I say, qualitative aspects are very important.
Sure. And on the lighter note, we have one final question. If
hmm
you could have Hypernote in any one meeting in your own life, past or present, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's interesting. Any one meeting?
Yep.
Hmm. Well, I'm trying to think, but yeah, I'm just trying to think. Maybe I don't know if this was the purpose of the question, but I'm trying to think like the conversation that I had, which I don't remember fully, but I do want to remember it fully and have a full
Mhm.
transcript. Well, you know what? I do think about like some conversations that I wish I could have like the full recording, but like I don't like this might not be a answer that you guys wanted, but like I don't think.
Okay.
yeah, having like a full transcript recording is good. Like I think just having in your own memory might be better sometimes because then you can have the imagination, right?
Yeah.
Versus you know how like you go to concert and take photos that you never like look at back, but you still like take a lot of photos, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like yeah, just looking at it and capturing the moment. Like I went to concert weeks ago, in Oracle Park, and then I didn't really take much of photos because I knew that I would never would look back to it, and then it was more like you feeling that moment, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know, like I don't think Hypernote is designed for those
Mhm.
personal conversations and yeah, business conversation. Yeah, I think I pretty much take all the notes. So
Mm.
yeah, that would be my answer. Yeah.
I really love that you're admitting that there are, of course, the benefits and like the upsides of AI, but there's also times where maybe you should be, leaving it to your own imagination, your
Oh,
own
for
memory.
sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, imagine like you're at this like Thanksgiving and you're having a conversation with your family and you start like bringing up Hypernote. Like your mom would say, like, "What the heck you're doing?" Right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I hope
yeah.
there isn't a future where, children start to do that. But yeah, thank you so much for joining.
Sure.
Really appreciated
Mhm.
your time and all of your insights. And
Definitely.
we might just end it here. Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. Cool. Cool.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
having
much for
me.
joining
Yeah.
us.
And yeah, it was very interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Mhm.
much.
Yep.